Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever comic book reviews. I thought it would be a really interesting idea obviously other people have done it before, but I thought it would be fun really to kind of review the comics that I'm reading. I've got back into comics fairly recently, and I thought it would be a really fun idea just to sort of discuss things, see what other people have thought about them, discuss the controversial issues, and really get down to the heart of why I love these particular comics or why I dislike these particular comics. So I thought each week when I go out to get the new comics, I'd come back, I'd say what I thought about them, sort of give overview of the art, the writing, etc. And then hopefully after that we can really discuss them and I'll hear what you think about them. This week I thought we'd start with kind of three major ones. DC Rebirth. We've got the new Captain America, Steve Rogers Captain America #1, and also Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. Now you'll notice that is the preview edition of the Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. That's mainly because my local comic book store, I've read the online edition, but my local comic book store hasn't got the real edition in yet, so I haven't actually got that one with me, but I'm sure we'll still be able to discuss it anyway. I'm not going to actually refer to the comic books to give any spoilers, although ultimately there will be some spoilers. You'll notice this one is actually the week after, because I thought it was really this week, the second week, where I thought this would be a good idea, an interesting idea. So we are slightly later than them, so you probably, if you're planning to read them, you've probably already read them anyway, which is good, because I can spoil them. So first of all, we're going to look at this one, the big one, DC Rebirth. So, what I really think about Rebirth, well, basically, I'll just summarize the plot to you if you haven't already read it. If you have, then you probably already know the plot, but it's a summary anyway. So yeah, basically, it revolves around a character called Wally West, who's the Flash, and he's sort of trapped outside of the main world in the Speed Force, and he wants to get back into the main world. And basically, he first of all he goes to the Batman, and then he sort of meets with him, but he doesn't remember him. Basically, 10 years out of the DC universe have been sort of taken out, wiped out, as a sort of explanation for the New 52, what went on there, and why you had a sort of discontinuity with the before the classic era, as it were. So he tries to do that, and then he doesn't remember him. He goes and sees some other people, some sort of meeting with different relationships, trying to introduce people to the new sort of post-rebirth universe. But yeah, no one really remembers him, and he actually meets with his girlfriend, and very sad. She doesn't remember him either, so it looks pretty bad for him. But then after all of that, he actually meets with Barry Allen, the Flash, and he's like, "You won't remember me, but you need to tell everyone this about the 10 years we've lost, and there's something not right in the DC universe." And there's a lot of meta commentary going on, which I'll get back to later, in terms of critically assessing how well we thought it went. But anyway, so basically, he right at the last moment, just as he's about to be sucked back into the Speed Force, Barry Allen says, "Hang on, no, I remembered you. How could I ever forget?" And really, at that moment, he comes back into the main world, and that's pretty much the end. We find out a little bit about this secret force which has been manipulating the DC universe, and there's some suggestions that it may be Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen. Now, I haven't actually read the Watchmen. I do hope to get around to reading it at some point. It's supposed to be very good, by Alan Moore. Real classic, as I've heard, but it would certainly be interesting to hear about that. I've heard there's quite a lot of controversy about it not being in the main DC universe really before this moment, and it actually being quite controversial them now sort of bringing it back into the main DC universe, saying perhaps he almost created the whole universe, or he has the ability to mold and manipulate it. So that's really interesting. So yeah, it's certainly really interesting as well. One of the other interesting things they brought up was the three Jokers thing. There's apparently three sort of Jokers, and the Batman is investigating the differences between them. There's kind of the classic one, the New 52 one, and then another one as well. Perhaps they're in like alternate universes. Perhaps there's some kind of other explanation. Maybe they're brothers. Who knows? So probably that won't be explored throughout the ongoing Batman. Quite a lot of other things as well. which I'll be discussing next issue with the Green Arrow Rebirth one. You've got Dinah and Oliver, obviously the Green Arrow, potentially getting back together, which I believe they weren't in New 52. I hadn't actually read any of their New 52 stuff, but I know they have sort of relationship thing going on beforehand, and really that sort of, there's a chance that that's going to get reignited, which I think is going to excite a lot of fans. But yeah, that's kind of that one discussed. Personally, I thought it was a very good introduction. Perhaps the plot a little bit thin, but you've got to introduce a lot of characters. It's a Rebirth one. It's covering such a huge, wide area, and it was always going to be very difficult to do well. But yeah, I thought it was really good in the whole. I'd probably give it about 9 out of 10, I think. I think the artwork was fantastic. The way they captured the energy of the Flash was so good. But yeah, I thought that perhaps just the detailing of the plot almost felt like it would be a two-parter, and it was kind of like a one-parter. But I guess you've got the whole cliffhanger effect with Dr. Manhattan, which is quite interesting. So yeah, 9 out of 10 from me. So the next one, very controversial one. This Captain America Steve Rogers #1. I'm sure you've seen the spoilers by now. It's quite late, but I really want to just weigh in with my opinions on the whole sort of Hail Hydra thing, the kind of Nazi associations. So basically, the basic plot is, well, it starts off quite generic, really. You've got Captain America breaking into sort of like a train that's been stolen. It's going to blow up. You've got a Hydra agent running the train. He defeats lots of other sort of Hydra people. In the background, you've got Agent 13 and all of the S.H.I.E.L.D. people sort of giving him instructions. And yeah, he goes into the main trailer and he finds this sort of Hydra agent. But we sort of see backstories and flashbacks from Steve's childhood as well, but also from this other guy's his background and why he became why he became this Hydra agent. We sort of hear about this backstory. You know, it's a normal one, sort of child in poverty, desperation, etc. That really motivates him to join this Hydra organization. And there's a lot of allusions. Obviously, Captain America's always been a bit of political commentary, one of the reasons why I previously enjoyed it so much. And there's a lot of allusions between the sort of the Red Skull, who's one of the Hydra leaders, and him and sort of Donald Trump. Personally, obviously, I think perhaps it's a little unfair to compare the two, but certainly there's a lot of similar commentaries, similar ideas going on, and it's really interesting the way that they explore that. And again, you've got the other side. You've got the Baron Zemo, who also feels that he should be in control of the Captain America universe, of the Hydra in the Captain America universe, I should say. And yeah, it's a really interesting ideological difference between that. And also you've got flashbacks with Steve Rogers as a child. You know about his abusive father and the way this woman sets them apart, and then the woman and Steve Rogers' mother, they meet up, and it turns out that this other woman is leading sort of a Hydra group, and that is when we get to the real revelation. We hear that Captain America is actually a Hydra agent, the ultimate sort of undercover thing going on. Very controversial, obviously, the idea that Captain America was written by Jewish people. It was very much sort of an anti-Nazi kind of thing, and obviously Hydra, massive Nazi associations with the Red Skull, etc. Although, crucially, it should be heard out that they're not actually technically Nazis, but there are sort of associations there, and it's been very controversial. However, I think that one of the real joys of comics is pushing the boundaries, sort of controversy. Chances are it's going to be a very short thing anyway. I can't imagine it's going to last more than a couple of issues. He'll probably be brainwashed or some sort of extra undercover thing, so it's probably not going to be sort of that dramatic. It's not going to be a whole series just reimagining him as like a Hydra agent. It is interesting the way that they played with the symbolism, but I think it's such a sort of powerful political message and a really interesting idea that I think it's thought-provoking, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's really good. The one thing I will say about it, the artwork for me didn't really work that well. I thought the flashbacks were good, but the new ones, it was a really dark comic, I felt, and I thought it was perhaps a little bit too cartoonish. I'm going to give it about a 9 out of 10 as well, I think. I thought there was so much good about it. I know a lot of people hate it. I don't think it's controversial, but I think that's one of the things for me which made it really interesting. I think the art held it back, and I think it's difficult to judge it, and I think this is one of the important things, whether or not you agree or disagree with the whole Hail Hydra thing, is really not to judge it until you've seen the first few parts and see how the storyline progresses and develops. And at that point, I think we can really form a better opinion about it. So yeah, I give it between maybe 8.5 to 9 at the moment, but then we'll obviously see how it goes. So last of all, not this version as I've already stated, but Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. What did I think of it? Thought it started off really well. I think you've got a lot of the classic humour, the kind of pizza pepperoni kind of jokes, but you actually find out it's like a vegan style one. And yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of level characters, but reimagined in this new post-apocalyptic world. Um, Massively different reviews here. Some people giving it 10 out of 10, some people giving it 2 out of 10 and saying, what have they done to my classic characters? But I think it's always important, as I've said before with the Captain America, that people are always reinventing. I mean, I love the classic characters, but it's so great to see people putting a new trick on. The artwork and the colouring, in my opinion, fantastic. Absolutely great job by Jim Lee and the hi-fi colours. It's very, very good. In terms of the storyline, I did feel it was a little bit text-heavy towards the second half of it, but I understand that they've got to try and build the world, and we see all the monsters revealed at sort of the end, the sort of post-apocalyptic monsters, and I think in the next few issues we'll see it much less a focus on the text-heavy stuff and much more sort of action-based. And I mean, there was quite a lot of humour in the first half of it, and I thought that was very good. Overall, I thought it was a really good issue. I'm going to give it 9.5. I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan. And I thought it was really interesting to give it sort of a darker, more sort of modern, grown-up maybe look on the world. Obviously, it kind of already been done with the Mystery Incorporated, but it was never done in the comics. So I feel that, yeah, I think it worked really well for me personally. So I thought this was a really good week for comics, which was really a great time for me to get back into it. A really great time for me to start my YouTube channel. So next week, well, actually this week, because I've already got the comics here, I wanted to kind of take a look at these Rebirth titles, and also Civil War #1. I thought Civil War #0 was really good issue, kind of leading up to the political debate. Obviously, not a whole lot of action, but some really well laid out court scenes of She-Hulk. And not a huge Marvel fan. I used to be a really big Marvel fan, but now I've sort of slided over more to the DC side. But I thought it was a really good first issue, #0. So I thought we will look at #1 next week. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you've got any feedback, the video quality is not great, but probably the sound quality not either. I haven't heard it yet, but thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Obviously, more importantly, give your feedback on the comics, what you thought of them, whether you disagreed with me. Obviously, try to be nice. You know, it's just opinion. And I recognise already that the reviews massively different in terms of opinions, etc. So yeah, thanks for watching.